Welcome back to Good Enough Parent Podcast. I'm your host, Michele Johnson, and I'm thrilled to have you with us today. Our episode is titled, Who is this tween or teen? And what have they done with my baby? And trust me, this is a conversation you do not want to miss. So last episode, we dived into the complicated world of tweens and teens, exploring those monumental shifts our kids go through. From ages 9 to 12, they transform physically, cognitively, emotionally, and socially. We talked about how your once cuddly child might start pulling away, seeking independence while still needing your guidance more than ever. We also touched on brain science, because y'all know I'm a little geeky, behind these changes and how their brains are evolving, developing, impulse control, and forming even their belief systems. We share some practical tips, how to navigate through this stage, like keeping communication open, respecting this growing independence, and being a role model. Remember, this phase is not about them rejecting you. It's about growth for both you and your child. So today, I am so excited I get to welcome a special guest who is an expert, that's right, I said expert, in tweens and teens and has supported families that have these little people who are now growing up. So together, she and I are going to explore the joys and the struggles of raising this age group and also dive into some of the emotional, cognitive, and social changes that come with it. We're going to talk about some practical things that can provide, like we said, open communication, building trust, and fostering independence. So grab a cup of coffee, some tea, whatever you need. Just get comfortable and join us as we uncover the secrets we're going to share for you to navigating this turbulent world of adolescence, and we're going to jump in. First, let me introduce my guest. This is Kristian Owens. Kristian Owens is a dedicated and compassionate licensed clinical social worker. She specializes in working with children and families. So as the owner and founder of Resilient Child Therapy Institute in Largo, Maryland, she is committed to providing high-quality, empathetic care with a focus on fostering resilience and promoting mental well-being. Kristian utilizes a range of therapeutic approaches tailored to meet the unique needs of each of her clients and families. Her expertise is unwavering. Dedication has made her a trusted resource in our community, helping families navigate challenges and achieve lasting positive outcomes. I am allowed to let her tell you a little bit more about herself. But before she does that, let's start this a different way. Share with us your journey on how you became an expert on teens and tweens. Why teens and tweens, girl? Because people run for them. I love middle school. I used to be middle school teacher and principal, and people like, ugh. I'm like, no. So why teens and tweens?
Yes. Thank you again for having me, Michele. It's good to be here and to sharing this dialogue, this really important conversation. I don't even know where to start with this. Where did I begin in my journey in working with young people? I don't know. I've always had a love for young people. I don't know. It began, I guess, early on. I used to babysit children. I have always been interested in the brain and behavior and learning, and it starts in childhood.
You're a brain geek too,
I am a brain geek.
Y'all in trouble today.
So I've always had a love for just the brain and how everything works, and it begins in utero, and then in childhood on. And so let's see, when did I begin work? I've worked in so many different settings with young people. I'm currently in private practice, but I began working with young people in school settings. I have worked in alternative school settings, public school settings, private school settings. I've also worked in inpatient psychiatric settings, and have also worked in community-based clinics with young people. So I've seen young people across just different settings and whatnot. I've also, when you're working with young people, you're also working very closely with their caregivers, their parents. And so I have just developed a love for young people, and they won't leave me alone. So once you develop a rapport with them, they seem to not go away. And so, although my practice works primarily with children from the ages of 3 to 17, a lot of my young people don't leave me. They continue to come to me as young adults because we develop a relationship early on, which, I'll speak to just the importance of the connection.
Y'all already know I was going. Y'all already know I was going to say connection is the main thing, and the main thing is the main thing.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
You knew she was going to say that word eventually.
Yes, and it's the truth because, I have the beautiful privilege of creating safe spaces for young people. And in order for me to create a safe space for them to share, and they will share some things, I'm like, I don't think I wanted to know that, but they'll tell me anyway, and I'm grateful.
That's secret number one. Parents listening, secret number one, create a safe space where they want to tell you more than you want to hear.
Yes.
We're going to get back to that one.
Yes. But sometimes it's TMI, but I'm grateful. I'm grateful that they trust me. So just I have the privilege of being able to create safe spaces for young people. And I value that. And I hold such a deep gratitude for the fact that they feel comfortable enough to share with me, which then allows me to be able to support their parents and their teachers and other key stakeholders in their lives. So
now y'all know why I called her an expert. She worked with all of them, right? I love it. So what are some of the most significant changes that occur during the teen and tween years that parents don't really think about? Because most of us be like, if you my age or even not.
Yes.
The one thing we used to hear was, it's hormones.
Yeah.
It's more than hormones, y'all. Mm-hmm. But that's all we knew. So now we're going to share some more stuff.
Yes.
What are those changes?
So what's changing? I mean, everything is changing. I want to start off with what tends to be the point when I end up seeing a child in my practice is that there begins to be a shift in their day-to-day functioning. And so their functioning usually revolves around their relationships. Okay. And so when they become preteens, teenagers, what's most important are their peer connections. They want to spend more time with their peers. They don't really want anything to do with us unless it has to do with spending money.
Or feeding them.
And that's also part of the change too. Just, their bodies are developing rapidly. And so, there is that shift in just the desire for peer connection. And then as a result of that, they are, they are easily influenced by their peers for that reason. The body's going through so many changes in that time. So, and then mixed in as well with the added expectations that come with being a preteen and teenager, to be better at time management, organization, all of these things sort of just fall on them when they become preteens and adolescents, when in actuality, many of them either don't have the capacity or haven't been taught the tools to be able to be, organized or have time management and whatnot. We just sort of expect them to show up on the scene with these skills.
It's those shoulds. Mm-hmm. They should be able to.
Yes.
And because we don't understand development, because nobody taught us.
Yes.
And because we had shoulds and we just followed the rules and expectations.
Yes.
But the geeky parts of us know that they don't have an adult brain.
No.
And that the part of the brain, if you missed it from the last episode, go back. We're going to talk about it a little bit. The part of their brain that does those skills, time management, we call them executive functioning, time management, problem solving. Y'all call it common sense. I don't know why they don't get it. We got it. Did you? But anyway, I'm not going to mess with y'all today. It's not fully developed.
No.
It's starting to develop.
Yes.
And so you can begin to introduce strategies, see which ones work, don't work, and you'll find that as they get older, the ones that didn't work before will suddenly be okay for them.
Yes.
And so if we as parents, part of us understanding the struggle that we have with interacting with them and staying connected is being okay with, I might need to change my expectations of what they should be able to do. That was good stuff.
Absolutely.
That was good stuff.
Absolutely.
Now, you said a lot of stuff, and we know all of that goes on. But what distinguishes normal development and behavior? What are some signs that a child might need some additional support?
Mm. I always like caution with the word
Normal.
normal.
Yeah, I tried to put. Did I put my quote marks up? The air quotes, because we don't like that. I got you.
Yeah, I always caution that because we are multifaceted. We learn differently. We experience the world differently. I think the need to seek, I guess, professional support comes in when you as a parent notice a shift in your child. Like there's just at one point, maybe, they were a kid who could handle challenges pretty well, even if they needed a little bit of help. But if you notice that motivation is starting to decline completely, maybe their appetite is changing, maybe their sleep habits are changing, maybe they're a little bit more isolated, maybe they're starting to talk about just sort of indirectly, sometimes they will begin to talk about wanting to, this isn't always the case, but just the way they're talking about life and the future, so it's again, going back to the connection, really paying attention to what your child is saying and what they're not saying.
Right. So back to the word normal, right?
Yes.
What's normal for your child shifts.
Yes.
Right? So
Yes.
if you've been paying attention and you have a connection with your child,
Yes.
and you start to see some things that shift to the extreme, right?
Yes.
So we know there's going to be some shifting.
Yes.
But if it shifts to one extreme or another,
yes.
you should become curious
Mhm.
about
Mhm.
what might be going on that's
Yes.
beyond developmental.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
I love that.
Mhm.
So we keep talking about this connection and that they gonna talk to us. Like they don't talk to us.
Mhm.
We want them to talk to us.
Mhm.
So what are some effective ways that parents can keep the communication lines open
Mhm.
between that tween or teen that says stuff like, no, I don't know. They might not even say nothing. Y'all know they do though.
Yeah.
How do we keep that line of communication and connection open?
So I want to acknowledge just how much of a struggle it can be. Sometimes even as a therapist, I have some young people that make it hard for me to connect with them. So it's not always peachy keen. It sometimes can be a struggle. But I find that when I connect with them through their interests and their hobbies, okay. When I value the small talk, because even if it's not like this in-depth conversation that's happening, it's still connection. So it's more about the connection or the quality rather than the quantity of it. Like it doesn't necessarily need to be this long drawn out conversation. It could be when they are in the car with you before they put those AirPods in and ignore you or whatever. But maybe it's something very, very brief, and we just build on top of those brief connections. Maybe it's when you guys, and I always share with parents, like making an effort to spend quality time with your child. So maybe we sit down and we have dinner maybe twice a week, in the midst of all the extracurriculars that we have on our plate. But we sit down and we have a meal together. Or maybe it's when you're out shopping with them and you make a connection when you were out shopping. So I like to utilize like activities as a way to create conversation and connection. But again, it doesn't necessarily need to be drawn out long. Kids will naturally share as they feel comfortable, just like any human being,
Create the space where they feel like you're not going to judge them.
Yes.
That you're actually seeing and hearing them, and that you actually want to. That you just didn't ask the question because you're supposed to ask, how was your day today?
Right.
And they're not going to answer, how was your day today? So you want to be curious in other ways.
Yes.
I got a 24 and a 27-year-old, and we pretty connected, but I literally had to like sit through the whole Drake Kendrick thing. Like when I say sit through, like I had to listen from the beginning to the end and understand all the details in between.
Yes.
And for a minute, y'all, I kind of like, girl, I really don't care. And then something in my brain said, you care.
Yes.
Because this is the conversation she wants to have.
That's right.
And then he wanted to have it. And then actually for the next few days while we were all together, it became a fun and a laughing thing. Because I was a little offended that they used Teddy Pendergrass song. Because I kept thinking every time I heard the song that I was going to hear the rest of the song. And then I didn't. But it was a connection.
Yes.
Right? They laughed at me because I would start singing. They were like, that's not the song, right? So that little small talk.
Yes.
Or the things we might not be interested in.
Yes.
To just listen.
Yes. A genuine curiosity. It's just like creating connection with any person. Like, say, like when you're dating, like in order to connect with the new person that you're dating, like you're going to share in their interests. You want to have a curiosity about who they are and what you don't like. Like some parents I've even shared, like spend time playing with your kid. Get on the floor and play with them. Last night, my daughter has been begging me to put a 60-piece puzzle together. She's 5 years old, and I'm tired. I done worked all day. I don't feel like it. But in the back of my mind, I think about the importance of even if it's just sitting down and cheering her on and putting the puzzle together. And it doesn't have to be no more than maybe 15 minutes out of your day. That's it. Again, it's about the quality of it rather than the quantity, because she's going to likely remember that my mom sat down and did a puzzle with me. I've even encouraged parents, do you know what Roblox is? Do you know what these video games are that your kid is playing? Play a video, have them teach you how to play the video game.
Or just sit in there. Just being in the space lets them know that you're interested and you're connected. I love that you said she's 5 and that we're doing this now.
Yes.
Because earlier you said that the peers have stronger influence at this time. But if you're connected, you can still be an influencer.
Absolutely.
Because they're going to still come to you because they want to talk to you in their own way, in their own time. And you are allowed to then share some advice.
Yes.
Share a story here or there. Not tell them what to do all the time. The other thing that I love that you said is curiosity, right?
Yes.
Now, here's the difference. Because she used the dating example. Don't interrogate. Like if you go on a date and ask, they got all this advice out now. You got to have all these questions because you vetting. Okay, vet. But if you vetting and you ask me 5 million questions, pop. That's probably our last date.
Right.
Same with your kids. If you're interrogating instead of using curiosity, hey, I noticed XYZ. I was wondering.
Yeah.
It's a whole different opening to that conversation than, hey, by the way, why you do that?
Yes.
I shared the story about what happened at school, and their first question was, well, why would you do that? Guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to say, I don't know, and that's the end of the conversation.
Right.
But if I say, oh, wow, I'm wondering what was going on right before you did that.
Right. And validating
how did you
their
feel?
experiences.
Yeah.
Like, I get it. Like, I would feel this way too. I think sometimes young people feel like as grown-ups that and I believe this to an extent, that we are so far removed from what I call the culture of childhood and adolescence because we're now adults and we're adulting. But I always encourage parents to try your best to engage in what it is to be a child right now in this day and time. It's very different, but treat it like it's a culture that you're learning, and take your time and understanding it so that you can nurture this relationship, over time.
The coolest workshop that I had a facilitator come into my staff when I was a middle school principal was she had everybody lined up by the decade they were in middle school.
Oh, okay.
And they got a sheet of paper first. And teachers, we range in age, right? Middle school teachers can be from the youngest millennial or actually
Gen Z now.
Up to the seasoned ones. Right, who had 20, 30 years of experience. And so everybody stood by the decade they were in middle school. And they had to write the music of the decade, the clothes of the decade, some of the sayings of that decade. And so I think it was a couple other categories. The fun, as people started reminiscing what it was like to be in middle school. Then they also had to say the things that their parents didn't like about that decade, right? So if you were in the 80s, everybody was like, oh, yeah, my mom was not going to let me dye my hair. Because that was the punk rock era, right? Some of it. And so it was the most interesting dynamic. And what it did when we came back together was then they had to write the things of the kids in this decade and what was similar and what was different.
Yes.
And I think that's what I hear you saying. Like, we forget what it was like to be 9, 10, 11. We have, and that's not all our fault. Our brain only holds on to some of those memories, right? As we get older, we have other things that are we thinking about. We not thinking about our teenage years. But it also brings up something that's valuable that you said about play. Like play is good for adults.
It is.
It's good for your mental
It
health.
is.
It's good for your child's mental health. All of that. All right. So last thing that we're gonna touch on. No, we can't touch on it all. She'll be back. She gonna be back in season 2. The stuff that y'all send me questions about in the comments, we'll be back. But the last thing I want to do is, how do you foster this sense of independence that we know they want?
Yes.
In the tweens and teens while still providing that guidance? How do you become that influencer? What does that look like?
So, let's see. I think an important part is recognizing that we want to foster success long term, because the reality is that they're not going to be under your roof forever. And so the benefit of you being right there and allowing certain things gradually, slowly, this is again a part of the relationship, watching and seeing how they handle certain things that you give them to handle on their own with your guidance. As I've said before, being in the passenger seat as they gradually move to the driver's seat. The goal is for success to happen. I don't want my daughter to be dependent of me. I told her the other day, I said, hopefully you can take care of me. But in the meantime, I'm going to slowly provide you opportunities to be a big girl, to do things on your own. So at 5, she's learning how to fill the dishwasher. She's learning how. So it's starting at home with activities to grow independence. And then we can move to things outside of the home. So she's learning how to fill the dishwasher, put the clothes in the washing machine, take out at 5 years old. Okay. And so it's building on the independence gradually by age, based on just, and also their developmental age as well, and emotional age. But I think it starts very, very slowly, gradually, watching, providing feedback, allowing them to offer you some feedback on how things were for them, and we go from there.
That gradual release.
Yes.
From you.
Gradual, rather than just dumping them in college.
Listen, my kids, and I was a little earlier than you, around 5, my biggest thing was they did their own laundry.
Yes,
from
ma'am.
About that.
Yes,
but,
ma'am.
Yeah, and I was like, might have been too young, but they managed, right?
Yeah.
And they were so glad when they went to college. They was like, man, these people don't even know how to wash their clothes.
No.
Now, I was probably a little bit excessive with the sorting and the stuff, because it was all about colors. And of course, I read labels.
Yes.
And they had multiple piles. And one day when they were older and they were at the house washing clothes home from college, I was like, is everything in one pile? Oh, yeah, we're just going to put this on cold. I was like, what do you mean? You don't sort anymore? They was like, yeah, no, we don't do that no more. But they were able, they your clothes.
They knew how to do it.
They your clothes.
Yeah.
I don't need to influence that no more.
That's right.
So we couldn't get into everything. So she will be back in season 2, y'all. But what is the most important piece of advice you would give to parents of teens and tweens?
Yeah, have your own support system as well. Have your own therapy, have a spiritual advisor, have a prayer life, because you can't do this alone. Community is so important. I tell people all the time, we heal in community. And for many of us, the parenting experience is about healing our own inner child, right? Because so much of our stuff that may still be unresolved shows up in that parenting experience, because our children are our mirrors. Even if you've adopted a child, that child found you for a reason, because they're there to mirror something back to you. And so with that being said, I think it's so important to have your own support as a parent and making that a priority.
So good. All right, but we got to wrap up. We thought we were going deep dive, but we took we probably in 5 to 6 feet. And next season, we'll go all the way to 10 to 12 feet with y'all. So I hope you found this conversation with us insightful and encouraging, because I did.
Yes.
A huge thank you to you, Kristian, because y'all know she's coming back. I gotta say, make sure she still like me after this.
Thank you, of course.
Because she shares some valuable advice and some practical tips. So remember, navigating these years is a journey for both you and your child. And it's okay, because you're going to have some ups and downs, which is why you need that community Kristian just talked about. Keep the lines of communication open. Stay patient And don't be afraid to lean into your community for support because we are all in this together. Now, if you enjoyed this episode, remember to subscribe, leave a review, share it with other parents who might benefit, and don't forget to follow us on any social media that we end up on for more tips and updates. Stay tuned for the next episode where we'll continue exploring the joys and challenges of parenting. Until then, take care, stay connected, and remember, you are doing a good job. See you next time on the Good Enough Parent Podcast.